Since the Biden administration seized the reins of power in Washington, both Russia and Turkey have been forced to contend with a more hostile foreign environment to their interests and practices. Consequently, both strategies and tactics have seemingly altered, shifting the sands in all of the theaters these two powers are jointly present in, both diplomatically and militarily. To analyze the relations of Moscow and Ankara amid quickly changing realities, we're joined from the city of Mugla in Turkey by Mr. Yusuf Erim, who is the TRT World Editor-at-Large. Thank you for joining us. Also joining us from Central Israel is Professor Ze'ev Khanin, who is an expert on Russian and Middle Eastern studies at Bar Ilan and Ariel universities. Thank you for joining us as well.
Pleasure to be with you.
And with me here in the studio is our TV7 analyst and host of Watchmen Talk, Mr. Amir Oren. Amir, give us a broader understanding on the latest developments pertaining to this specific topic.
So obviously, Russia and Turkey are the most important and almost the only Eurasian powers. They are both straddling both continents, Europe and Asia, and they are projecting power to many directions, and they have interests in several countries adjacent to them and even further, not only in the near abroad, as the Russians call it, but also across the Mediterranean, as we have seen most recently with Turkey's policy vis-à-vis Libya. Now, President Erdogan has now been in power for more than 18 years. And one may see a shift recently, even though it is not a declared one, from ideology to geostrategic considerations. And as we all know, historically, Turkey always feared the Russian bear. Now, several years ago, Turkey had other interests as more of a priority. And it has a troubled relationship with the European Union, of which it is not a member. It is, of course, a member in good standing of NATO, but NATO and the EU are not one and the same. However, it must have American backing if it is in trouble with the Russians. And whether this is what President Erdogan now sees as more of a priority or not, one can see that during the first several months of this year, 2021, relations had seemingly improved with some of Turkey's rivals and adversaries in the region, with Egypt over Libya, even with Greece, which is, of course, the arch rival, perhaps with Israel, though not over the last several days when there was tension over Jerusalem, and the United Arab Emirates too, used to be with Egypt and Israel in the camp considered hostile by Turkey, but perhaps not anymore. So the Moscow vis-à-vis Ankara relationship is probably going a reassessment now.
Mr. Erim, I'd like to hear your take on the current perspective from Ankara's point of view. How do you see the maneuvering, the various rapprochements that have been engaged? Of course, the meeting in Egypt, the exploratory talks in Greece. There's so much happening right now that one needs a lot more than a few minutes to actually divulge everything that's been ongoing. But give us a little bit of an understanding. What is the current focus on a strategic level from Turkey's perspective?
Well, when we look at the two engagements between Turkey and Russia in the international theater, we see Libya and Syria both entering a political track. The main kinetic engagement in both countries is now over as the conflict is slowly dying down, and we're seeing some type of steps taken towards a political solution, political dialogue. So this alone has been very important in lowering the stress on the Turkey-Russia front. So that's been a very important development on Turkey-Russia relations. But now there's going to be also competition for rebuilding contracts and also being able to raise their level of influence with the government in Libya, and also who's going to be in power in Syria as well. So this common notion that both sides cooperate and compete at the same time is going to continue going forward. Now, also, when we look at what's happening in the Caucasus with Armenia destabilizing and then now also going to a election, Azerbaijan taking Nagorno-Karabakh back, and also Turkey flexing its muscles into Central Asia, that's also going to be another flashpoint between Moscow and Ankara as well. But overall, when we look at the relationship right now, it's definitely maintainable, it's sustainable, but the Biden presidency in America looks like it's going to put pressure on Turkey-Russia relationship from time to time, as Biden is going to want to rebuild the NATO coalition, and it's going to look to Turkey to be able to bring Turkey back into the NATO fold. And we see a lot of times, many people say Turkey is shifting east. Turkey's not shifting east. We hear the word strategic autonomy a lot in the European Union. Turkey's also exercising its own strategic autonomy in its foreign policy. It's centering its foreign policy. So that centering from a Western point of view looks like a shift east, when in reality, it's just hedging its bets as the world is shaping into a multipolar world.